Welcome back. You know the voice. I am Julian. My name today is Menace to Society. Jeez. Tyler, the unperceived, is still not here, but I'm not alone. We have Tommy. Tommy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I was telling you behind the scenes. This is the evolution of the podcast, so things might, be a little wonky. But thank you for being the first guest to, kind of be our little test person.
You never forget your first.
Very, very true. And then before we get into the main question, how was your last 7-ish days?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I live here in the Philippines, and so I've been with family. I have a fiance, so
okay.
I have an extended family now, which I didn't have there in America. And
okay.
Just the people are so friendly. I was riding a jeepney, which is a kind of like a jeep, and people get into it, and you sit on benches, so you kind of face each other. And I was going into one jeepney, and I saw these two guys using their hands. I thought they might know sign language. So I sit down, I look over, and my fiance said, I actually know them. They're friends from school. So I started signing to them in American Sign Language, and there we were talking, not in English and not in Hiligaynon, but in sign language. And so everybody in the bus there was looking at us, and I wasn't saying anything, they weren't saying anything, but they were communicating. So it was a lot of fun. So
that's amazing. My bad to interrupt you. I just find that very interesting that you being from America in Philippines and no one speaking just sign language. That I find that very intriguing. That is definitely on the list of things that I want to learn is sign language for sure. So American Sign Language can be translated to anywhere, or is it?
Well, American Sign Language is what was brought here to the Philippines, so we basically know the same signs.
Okay.
And then
that
one thing interesting is that when Nicaragua fell from the dictator there was an area that was kind of left alone for about 5 or 10 years, and there were deaf people there, and they developed their own sign language, which was very similar to American Sign Language. So if we just left alone, we will develop basically American Sign Language.
Interesting. That is so interesting. But and anything else in your and so did you recently move to the Philippines, or is or you've been there for quite some time now?
I've been here 8 months, which
okay.
Might be a long time, might be a short time. I decided to come here, and what I'll say in the language is Naga Pandita Sa Asawa. I came here looking for a wife. So
got you.
So
okay.
It's not as easy as the YouTubers tell you. So the Filipinos have no time. So it's very difficult to find a Filipino to date and to take time with, because they're always so working. They're working 5 or 6 days a week, and Sundays left for laundry and going to church and being with family. So there's very little bit of time to meet people. So that's the drawback, which I didn't know coming here. But
got you.
Wonderful. The Filipino people are just wonderful. They're smiling, they're happy, and they don't have anything, and I don't either much. So I'm on Social Security. But the dollar goes much further here, so I live very well here.
That's good. That's good, at least. I'm happy for you for that. For my last 7-ish days, it's been a blur because it's just been a lot. I will do it like this because since we're in the month of July, my brother and my 2 brothers, we all have birthdays in July. So I went back home to Florida, and we just celebrated there. I had a good time. We celebrated by just me. It was my siblings, and my dad. We just got Waffle House. Nothing super out the ordinary, but I enjoy it, especially having a summer birthday. I didn't always get to be around my friends. So
and what part of Florida?
Jacksonville, Florida.
What was that?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Top.
Yes.
Louisiana, so.
But that's, and then like I said, just trying to piece everything together with the podcast and everything is taking up a good chunk of my time, but nothing super out the ordinary. I'm sure more has happened in my life since I last told my last 7-ish days, but those are the only two I can think of right now at least. But something's probably gonna come up in the middle of our conversation, and I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, that also happened too. But with that all said, we might as well get into the question.
Sure.
All right, and then the question for the day is, if I can remember I can't remember, even though I just told you. Do you think people need a credit card? That is the question.
Well, it's funny that you should mention that, because I was off grid for about 10 or 12 years. About 12 years ago, the wife said, get out and take the dog with you. So
Okay.
I became homeless on purpose, and I took a vow of poverty for about 10 years. So I wandered across the United States and ended up on a farm in the state of Maine. And
Okay.
I never thought I would leave the farm, but shift happens. And make sure you pronounce the F. So shift happens. And so I found myself on the outside world, and I didn't have an ID, didn't have a passport, didn't have anything, but I gave it all up. So I was going to die on the farm, just bury me in the back. I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
But so you need to have an ID, so it took a while to get that. I had to take a driver's test. I had to get in a car and prove to the inspector that I knew how to drive a car. So that was the first time I had done that since I was 16. So, and then knowing I was going to fly to the Philippines, you need a credit card. And then to get a car, rent a car, I had to have a credit card. So I applied, and I had no score, and I had no history. It completely blank, because I've been off grid for 12 years. And Capital One gave me, and that's the important word, gave, they gave me a credit card, a $500 credit card. So explain that to me, Julian. How does a person with no credit score and no credit history, completely blank, get a $500 credit card?
Beats me because it's beyond me, because I'm personally I honestly think I can go life without having a credit card. At least here in America, you can. I think, granted, I know everything is very expensive, and having the capital, I think, to pay for everything that you want, like house, car, and everything else, very, very expensive. So, but I'm still kind of stumped on your question of because it's very intriguing.
So how does a person with no credit score and no credit history get a $500 credit card? I was previously a customer, so I was in their system. And this is one of the banks I sued in federal court for an alleged $35,000 of debt. So I sued them in federal court. I lost the case. In a sense, the judge threw my case out. But a month later, Capital One had taken it off my credit report. So in essence, I didn't have a debt, which I really didn't have.
Wait, so you went from... Wait a minute. Was this before... Or, wait. My brain's in a tizzy right now trying to make sense of the story. So you were kicked out of your original LA home, chose to be off the grid, and also sued the company that gave you the credit card, didn't win, but they removed the debt. Did I get all that right in correct order?
Well, some of the timing I have to kind of explain. It was in 2004. I'm an author and a retired teacher, and so I wrote a book on health and healing. And so I was given an infomercial contract. But in the meantime, I was put on the radio for interviews like this. And we were test marketing different ideas and different ways of selling my product better, my book. And so I lived on my credit cards. I lived on 3 credit cards. And that was back in 2004. So then one of the talents, he got in trouble with the FTC. The company came down and canceled all their contracts. And I was left with $85,000 of credit card debt. And this was back in 2004. So 12 years ago, the wife said, get out. And that's where I needed a credit card about.
Okay. That makes more sense, somewhat in my head. Somewhat in my head, it makes a lot more sense time wise. So, are you saying people should have people need a credit card at this point, or not necessarily?
How do you book an airline flight? You got to have a credit card, and they might say a debit card. But the problem is the debit card, it takes it out of your account right away, and the credit card gives you some chance. You have at least some flexibility of challenging fraudulent things a little bit easier on the credit card. So on the one side, yes, you kind of need to have a credit card. But on the other side, you can live without one. Just don't travel and be on a farm like I would, and I had to move for a credit card.
That's actually really funny that you say that, because I will be completely honest with you. Having a credit card conversation is probably going to be a difficult conversation for me, because I still don't have a credit card to this day, and my friends are like, why I don't have a credit card is actually a story within itself. But besides that, I'm like I don't need one. I learned about student debt. Oh, not student. Well, student debt too. But when I was in, I think it was like the 11th grade, I learned about credit cards and everything. And I asked my parents, could I have one? My parents said no, and I'm like, all right, that was the end of it. I never tried to get a credit card really ever since then, and I've really just been living off of cash for the most part. But and luckily, I'm still able, to travel and get. I was able to get a room one day, a hotel room. But it's not easy. I would definitely tell you that, of trying to do everything with your own money for sure.
Because when you engage in an agreement with, let's say, the hotel or the rental car company, how do they know if they can get more money out of you in case you damage it? So they can say, hey, you damaged the property, we're going to run the credit card at $500 or whatever, so you can cover the damage of the car or stuff like that. So that's why I think that is. But then again, if you go for a job, they could be pulling your credit report and looking at your credit score. So if you've got a score of 500 and you're just as qualified as the other guy and he's got a 700, well, who are they going to pick? Housing. Many times they check your credit report. So if you don't have a very high score, why should they give you an apartment? So there's a lot of things that people use as credit score to compare you with. So on the one side, I didn't have a score, but the minute I got the credit card, I got a score of 550. I guess still low, but still something. I had no score before then, so once I got the credit card, I jumped to 550. Then I went to a credit union and got a loan, a small loan, and had it automatically taken out. So they're paid. I don't have to be worried about being late. They just automatically take it out. And that jumped me to about 650. So then you want to use 10% on your credit card every month, but never carry a balance. So I use $50 and pay it off every month, and now my score is about 704. So I want to get to 800 so I can show people that I started with no score, no credit report, and in a year or so, I'm at 800, a very high score.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been told multiple things about how to raise your credit score. Sometimes it's like, what is it? That you want to balance and you just don't want to pay all of it off at this certain time. Again, I don't have a credit card, so I'm being a parent right now. I'm just kind of repeating talking points that I hear, that I've been told on several occasions. But with the credit score, do you think that's a necessary thing to have for like society?
Well, it's one measurement of your ability to pay it back, which cred is a Latin word means believe. So we believe you're going to pay it back. So that's where you have credibility and you have credit. So a credit score is going to determine that. And there's a lot of errors on people's credit reports. So by removing those errors and then people's behavior, there's a lot of misinformation out there purposely put out by the banks and the credit agencies to say carry a balance is a good thing. No, it's not. It shows you can't pay. So you want to charge only 10%. If you start maxing your card out every month, that doesn't show good use of credit. It shows you're kind of wild and crazy. Why are you spending all this money? And so it shows a risk. So with a lower usage of your credit card every month, then you have a higher score. So it's just only one part. So you need to have an installment loan. That's why I went for the loan at the credit union. And you can also put money into a credit card. It's called a secured card. So if they don't give you the card, you can say, well, what about a secured? So you put $500 into it. In a year, if you've been behaving good, then they'll remove that, and you can have a full credit card.
And that is currently where I'm looking towards right now, is getting a secure card. I just haven't made the time to look into it yet. But that is, I know that's like kind of like my first step of getting a credit card, because like I said, I have tried to get a credit card slightly in the past. I was denied because I didn't have what was it? There were two reasons why I didn't get the credit card. My income to debt ratio was too high, and then I had no outstanding, like no history of any credit, any credit history, and so those are like the top two reasons why I didn't get a card. Why I was denied a card, which I find really funny, is because I hear that you can tie your like different bills. Like I live in an apartment, like you can tie your rent or your car note into it. But even though I've been living there in a apartment since 2021, there was no history on it because I just didn't know at the time.
Yeah, it's not a common thing on the credit report to see people's rent and things like that. And there's three major credit reporting agencies. There's a lot more, and they're primarily owned by the same people. The banks own them. And so every 2 years they have to go in front of Congress, the credit reporting agencies, and they've admitted over and over again they have so many errors on the credit report they can't fix them. So it's really up to you, and it's actually advantageous to the banks because they charge a higher interest rate to have errors on your credit report. So the important thing to do is look at your credit report, maybe annually. You get a free credit report, so you can take a look at it. You got to pay for the score, but it's a good thing to happen. My bank actually offers it. Part of my online banking is I can look at my credit score and my credit report anytime I want. So that's an advantage.
Okay. Yeah, I think my bank does it too. But again, I've also heard that if you keep checking, it actually brings down your score. Again, I'm using the information that I got back when I was in the 11th grade, so I'm not sure if anything's changed or anything with that at this moment in time. But I've definitely heard that.
It can affect your score about 10%. So let's say you're at 700 and you start applying for credit anywhere and everywhere, you could be lowered down to 630. So that can be a real deal killer for trying to get a mortgage. Now, they understand that, so when you're trying to get a car loan, you're going out shopping. So they understand that for like a couple of weeks, they'll give you that, not hit you with a penalty too much. And then if you're going for a home loan, they know you're shopping for a home loan, so your credit's being pulled frequently for the mortgage. So they understand that. So you get some leniency by that.
No.
Yes, if you apply for credit too frequently, it's going to lower your score, because why are you doing that? Now it's risk.
No, that's understandable. And then you say credit was what did you say the Latin word was? Credit for reliable? Is that what you said?
Well, the credit score can be unreliable because there's errors on your credit report. So if you can remove those credit errors, then your score will go up. And then also the behavior, don't carry a balance, pay them off, have an installment loan, which can be simply at a jewelry store. That's one of the easiest ways to get an installment loan put on your credit report. Not have to pay very much, just go to a jewelry store and buy something, and then make payments on it, and then it'll go on your credit report. But make sure before you do that they will record it. So you want to make sure that's. And there's also businesses that will do like supply, a business supply company will give you credit, and that can go on your credit report.
Okay, and so is that kind of like I'm my bad for asking you questions as if you are a instructor in credit, but these are just the question I have. So like when you said like buy jewelry, is that kind of like what's it called? Like putting it a payment plan, like making a payment plan for is it the same like that? Do you know?
It's an installment loan, so it's
Okay.
a revolving credit. You borrowed $500, and you're going to pay it off in 2 years. So you're making, $25, $50 payment every month, and that shows a good history that you're paying it every month. So the best thing to do is have it automatically taken out of your account, and that way you don't have to worry about being late or something. You're forgetting things happen to you. So,
Okay. One this kind of puts me in the mindset with all this credit talk and everything. I just wanted to ask. It's a question that, like I told you when we first met, that I write down some backup questions, and I was curious to just ask: would you say you're good with money?
well, yes and no, to be honest with you. It's funny that when you get a chunk of money, it's the problem if you don't have or if you have too much. And I tend to be very giving, so people can take advantage of me in that sense there, so that's fine. I had a couple of girlfriends here in the Philippines, and I was the ATM machine, so it was entertaining, but now I've got the right fiance and the right family, so I'm not worried about that. So, and the other one is planning, so I set out 650 pesos a day, and that's what we spend, and not more. And if we don't spend that much, it carries over the next day. So we can have more than that. So we kind of plan it out. But for that, it's not very much. It's probably about $10. So I live on about $300, just living expenses. And then my rent here is $10 a day. So for an apartment. So it's only at about $20 a day. So about $600 a month is what I can live on here and live very well. We can go out to eat and ride the transportation, travel. Not too extensive travel. We'll be doing more of that. So if I can sell books, or if I get a client for some help him out with the credit, then I'll be able to travel better.
Got you. Did I hear you right? Did you say you live in a month on $600?
Well, right now I've actually lived on $100 here. There's a website called WWOOF, and that's like in Frank, and it stands for Worldwide Opportunity Organic Farming. And so before I came to the Philippines, I knew about this website because I was on a farm in Connecticut. And so I went online, looked up Philippines, and there were like about 7 farms. And I contacted all of them. And I said, hey, I'm American. I'm coming to the Philippines. Do you need me? And one responded very quickly. And he was outside of Manila. So I landed in Manila. And then about a week later, I was on his farm for about 6 weeks. And I had room and board. So I had a place to sleep, didn't have to pay anything, and food was there. And so what I did, I taught them how to build a dome structure with bamboo. So the bamboo grows there freely. So I taught the people there how to do it. And I'm trying to lead them with a business. So now they have a business of domes, and they have a calculator online. So if anybody wants a dome, they ask them, how high do you want it or how wide? It doesn't matter, pick either what number. And the calculator tells them how many sticks to cut at what length. And so they cut the bamboo to the right length. And when it comes to the job site, there's no tools needed. All you need are zip ties. So they have zip ties here, and so it comes with the bamboo poles and hubs, and you just put it together. One person can put together a 25-foot diameter dome house in about 4 hours. So 4 people can do it in about less than an hour. So if you have more people, it can go up very quickly.
Interesting.
So we built the structure there.
Okay, that's very interesting. You said bamboo dome?
Yeah, bamboo sticks. Just think of sticks, and it could be like the round bamboo sticks. That's what we started off with. That's what I thought bamboo was. And then I was invited to another farm on another island, so I traveled to that island. And I was living in a mud house. You would think, a mud house, how awful it would be. It was a resort. I'm telling you, he had 15 structures. He's been doing it for 10 years, and he and I, the farmer and I, are going to be doing a workshop on how to build mud houses, but with my dome idea of the bamboo. So we're kind of combining both things. So he actually has several 2-story houses on the property that are all made of mud. And the mud is right from the ground, So you have to sift through, and you have to have different kinds of clay. So you just can't put clay there and it works.
Yeah.
And then when you start digging clay, you find termites. Termites live in clay. So you add in boric acid, so that keeps the
termites out.
Bugs and termites from eating your house and destroying your house. So what you do is just lay, you mix it properly, and with coconut husk, it's kind of like fibrous, and also leaves and twigs and sticks we find, and so you have some kind of a stability there. And you build your walls, then you can do it any height you want. If it's a 2-story house, as you can that's 20 feet high. So, and then as you build it, the mud is going to crack because it's just the nature of the mud. But then what you do is you have a second layer, which is a very thin layer, and you spread that on, and that's your waterproof. So it doesn't dissolve in the rain, and of course it rains here, but it would be living there for hundreds of years. It can be structurally there. And so it's a great way to build houses that are free, and I'm all into free. So free housing is perfect. So you have the bamboo, build the structure, and now you have a structure, lay the first, layer or two up, 6-8 feet of a wall, and you can also put the dome house on top. So instead of having a dome house, you got to walk in this way, walk in a house that's vertical, that has 90-degree walls, about, let's say, 7-8 feet high. Then on top of that, when you look up, that's where the dome can be, and it can be round, so it looks like a mushroom. You can have a square of a house, but if you make it rectangular, you can do a tunnel. A tunnel dome works just fine too. So either way, we can put a structure up on top or have it down on the ground, and now you've got housing very quickly. So within a day, you can have a house, because we have hurricanes here, typhoons they call them. We have earthquakes, we have floods, volcanoes, and so the Filipino people here have suffered and endured a lot. So their life is just today. They don't think about tomorrow. So I'm here as an American kind of thinking about, well, what about tomorrow? Let's do a little planning, let's save some money, let's build something that's in the future. So that's what I'm trying to do is, when I leave the farm, they will actually have a business that they can build dome houses and send the kit out to the job site. And the second location I was at, instead of the round tube, we actually sliced the bamboo, about a meter, about 3 feet long, and that was in like a squarish thing. That's fine, and that's all you need to do is drill a hole. So I've got 2 ways of doing it now. One is the tubular bamboo, but the other one is you get a thicker bamboo and you make it, slice it down lengthwise, and now it's about 3 feet high, but it's thicker, and so that is working out very well. So I'm learning from them. I don't know anything. I'm just going to learn from them. They teach me. I can share the idea, and that's all I have in the future is a business, and that's what'd be great for them to bring in some more pesos, bring in some more dollars.
Okay. No, I like the engineering side of my brain is really fascinated by all of that, because I was always wondering how, like when I see like mud huts, I was wondering how, not really how they were made, but how they stay structurally feasible, and you just answered that question. But to go back to if I'm good with you said something, how we kind of got onto the story was how you said you're yes and no, if you're good with money, because would say I'm the same way. Oh, there are 2 things that kind of reminded me when you said yes and no to paying for different dates I'm going to. That's kind of where my mind goes when it comes to money, because I've never wanted to be. I never wanted to be looked at when it comes to relationships to only be looked at for my money. So I try not to showcase it. But on if I'm good with money, I'm spent the past, let's just say, 27, almost 9 years just on straight cash for me, and and also with just everyone trying to listen to everyone's lessons. I think I am good and bad with money. Well, I'm probably better with money than I give myself credit for. Or I will try to save, but still have time to have fun. Because my rent here in Atlanta is $1,700 a month on top of all the car note and everything. So I think I'm doing good for myself, but I know I could be doing better. Case in point, by not living in a, like, if I wanted to like downsize on my rent, so that way I had more to spend at the end of the month. Because to be completely honest with you, there have been times where my account has hit zero or in the negative just due to all the bills that I have. Some of them are necessary that I can't get rid of, and then some of them are also ones that are just for like my personal leisure. So I'm like, I'd rather not just get rid of them right now.
Yep. We all have our little vices, you know, it might be a bar of chocolate every once in a while or something like that.
Something like that.
Is I've always been very good about money in one sense, is I have an accounting background. My dad was CPA. I just grew up with the IRS as part of my DNA. So I have this thinking through of everything. So I would put money in envelopes. So if I have money for rent, and so I would do that, and money for the utilities, and I put it in an envelope. And that's what I'm kind of basically doing here. I pay the guy here I'm taking the place from. But then I'll set aside 650 pesos, which is about $10, I say. And that's what we live on per day. If you choose to jump in a taxi, it's going to be 100 pesos. Well, do we want to do that or what? You know, it's our choice. So it's
got you. Okay.
To decide that.
Okay.
But then there's no concept of savings. They have no idea of savings here, because if they have pesos today, they have a roof over their head, they got food, life is good, and they don't need to think about anything else. So it's a different culture here. But yeah.
Okay. Good. Interesting. And then something else that I do for like the saving aspect of things is there are two ways I save. So at the end of the month, I have this like out right after a paycheck on like 100 goes at the end of it. Like I think it's like the last Friday, I have 100 just go straight into my savings account. That way I don't see it, I don't know about it. It's just a way for an emergency. And then so I still want to go out and like have a life per se. Anytime I just go out, let's just say like eat out at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or anything, I put $5 into, I just move $5 over as like a reward for me. For it's like, all right, cool. So it kind of encourages me to go out. Eventually, let's just say I went to I don't know, I went bowling one night, Chick-fil-A, and then I don't know, the movies. I'll give myself like $15 for that just as a reward. And then anytime I spend over $100 a month, I mean, if I spend over 100 in one sitting, I put $10 over that. Rather that's 101 or $500. If I spend it all in one day, I might let me move $10 over that way. It's kind of helps me save that way.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of different ways of strategizing, and you know, there's Dave Ramsey and his whole theory and stuff like that. So you can follow people that have a plan, but that's what I've always done with just the envelope. It's kind of like delayed pleasure. So you don't be thinking about what I remember as instant potatoes. No big deal to you, but when I was a kid, instant potatoes was a big deal. What we did was cook potatoes, mashed potatoes, but to go to a box and put water in it, and you got mashed potatoes. Oh my God, what the world! So everybody's expecting things to be instant now. You know, with the internet, everything's so quick. You know, you want overnight shipping. No, you want shipping the same day, and you've ordered something from Amazon, and it's delivered within hours. How do they do that? Well, they got distribution centers everywhere now, and so
yeah,
you know, the world is fast and quickened up.
Yes, but that sparked another question for me though. What do you like to spend to like enjoy? Like, what's your something you what's the luxury you like to buy? That's the question. Like, what's something you just like to?
the little pleasure is the chair massage. And so for $1, you can sit in a chair for a half an hour and get a chair massage. And, and because it's hot here and humid, people just don't have a place to go. And the only place you can go to be comfortable are the malls. And so there's malls everywhere, and every mall has 10 or 20 of these chairs, sometimes on the same floor on different edges of the mall.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people. I was in another town, and I'm walking by in the evening, and there must have been 40 or 50 chairs of massage therapists working on all kinds, men and women, but mostly men. They were getting a massage outside in the open, and I went, oh my gosh, look at this. And it was like 40 massage therapists rubbing on people's backs, and, rubbing their legs and their feet. So it's a big deal here to relax. So it's a nice little pleasure. So that's one little thing I might do to have that.
Very nice. I like that. I know I've asked the question and there's multiple things that popped into my head. Like I know there's a spa thing that I actually want to try at some point in time, but I think something that I spend just extra, like what I call, fun money. One guilty pleasure is some like cookies. I'll either sugar frosted cookies or oatmeal raisin. Icy frosted oatmeal raisin, I think. I'm not entirely sure of the brand, but something to going to the movies sometimes and axe throwing. Those are like the top things that came to my mind on how I like to spend like fun money when I have some.
We gotta have a little pleasure in life.
Yeah, but like going back to the credit aspect of things, with as a like kind of out of pocket question, how would you change the system if you could?
Well, first of all, I like to have some honesty. So I have discovered that the banks are committing a fraud, a worldwide fraud on people with this credit card. And so I've written a book called Forgive and Forget, How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt. So the funny thing is that here's the story, very quickly. The bank wants you as a customer. So years ago, they used to give you a toaster or a wall clock to come in. So they would pay for a product and to give it to you to get you as a customer. Then one day, I looked in a newspaper and said, come into our bank and deposit $25 and we'll match it. Well, and hold it there for 90 days. What did I do? I took my $25, went into the bank, and waited 91 days, took out my $25 and the bank's $25. So I walked out of the bank with $50 and closed the account. Now, did I rip off or did I steal from the bank? No.
I wouldn't say you ripped them off.
No,
I wouldn't.
They said, do that. I did it. I walked out, and they were very happy giving me $50. But it's $25 of their money that I walked out with, right? It's immoral what I did.
That's debatable. Yeah, depending on who you ask, but I wouldn't say that.
Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube that says do that, and he's made $361. So he's really thrilled about going to banks, depositing money, waiting a certain period of time, and draws it out, and he's rich. He's enriched himself by $361. It's the same thing with your $500 alleged credit card. See, I put the word alleged, so it's not truly a credit card. If you went to a merchant and they actually provided a good for you, like they sold you tires at a tire store, or they provided a service for you, like the plumbing, that's truly an invoice. So if they've got an invoice, you got to pay it. But what the banks do is they entice you to become a customer, and then they mail you a gift card. So a $500 credit card is actually a gift card. You go and use the gift card, and you walk out without paying, right? So you paid the store, the bank did. Where the bank get the money from is from your advertising budget. They never loaned you any money. This is not a loan. So you don't have a debt, you don't have a loan. So you get the statement at the end of the month and you think it's a bill, and that's the fraud I've discovered. And so you write a check out and pay the bank. So when you do that, you deposit $500 in your new free checking account. So now you have a new account with that bank, you deposit $500 in it, and every subsequent purchase that you've made is with your own money. So they fronted you in a sense, a gift to get you to be a customer. You paid money into your checking account, and now you've been using it. Now what they do, they charge you interest if you don't bring it back up to the top. They charge you late fees and overdraft fees and annual fees. So all these fees turn out to be about $23.04 on average. So if a bank has 1 million customers, card numbers, they're bringing in $23 million a month, which is about 1/4 of the profit. So the banks are profiting off of a scam, convincing people that they have a credit card debt and they really don't. So all you got to do to resolve this is to write a letter to the bank to close your checking account associated with that card, and it's off your credit report. It's what happened to me when I took them to federal court and sued them. So a month later, it's off my credit report.
Can I'm trying to understand fully. You gave me a whole bunch of numbers, and I'm just trying to. Can you break that down again for me, please?
Okay. So you apply for a credit card.
Yeah.
And if you're approved, they send it to you.
Yeah.
They used to send cards without even you applying. It would just come in the mail, right?
Yeah, I still get those every so often.
Think about this. If you buy a fraction of a share of a bank, let's say Bank of America, you're now an owner of the bank, right?
Correct.
So think about this. As an owner of the bank, would you want to loan your money out to people who can't pay it back?
No.
No. Would you loan your money to people who don't promise to pay it back?
No.
No. See, so that's what's happened, is that the federal banking laws require the bank for them to accept your promissory note first, then they write numbers into your free checking account. That's how they create money. That's the fiat money, and that creates inflation. So they don't take someone else's depositor's money and loan it to you, because that would be too risky, because you didn't even promise to pay it back. So if there's no promise to pay it back, it's got to be a gift. So they gifted you this card, you went and used the card, you get a statement, just like you get a statement from your checking account. That's not a bill. It shows how much you started with, your deposits, your checks, and your debits, and your ending balance. Same thing with your bank-issued alleged credit card, is that's just a statement. But you think it's a bill, you send off the money, fine. You say you got credit card debt, fine, you've got it. But if you start the word allege, now you're going to force the bank to prove, one, that they have an invoice, which they never did any service for you, and they didn't sell you any product, and you didn't promise to pay them back later. And the second one, there's no loan. So you think there's a loan? Fine. If you want to think differently, then chart with the truth. The truth is that you got a gift card, you used the card, you mailed money in, and that gift card turned into a debit card. So every time you've sent money to the bank thinking you're making a payment, no, you're filling your checking account back up, and now you're using your debit card. It's not a credit card. So there are two credit cards, and that's from, like, let's say a merchant who does something for you. But how you can tell is look on the back of Walmart or Amazon, look on the back of that card. If it says issued by Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, or Bank of London, Bank of Tokyo, it's worldwide. That's a phony card, and you don't owe it because there's not a debt.
Good to know. So with all that said, how would you change the system, though? Or would you keep it the same?
Well, that's the problem. You're asking, I'm thinking like a drug dealer to have him stop dealing with drugs. He's going, why should I do that? Go get a job? Are you crazy? I make so much more money, it takes me no effort. So the banks are making millions a month. Every card member brings them $23. So 1 million card members is 23 million. That's about 1/4 of the profits. So the banks are criminals. They have lied to you, and over the generations been indoctrinated. And if you don't question, then you're brainwashed. So I'm just trying to maybe get through to some of your listeners is that just use the word allege, and let's start from that. So I can help people. I have a free consultation, and I have my free book. If you consult with me, I'll send you my $69 book for free. So all I want you to do is not get out of debt. See, if you use the criminal's language, you're sunk. You won't win the argument. I want you to withdraw your money out of your checking account first, and then write a letter to the bank, have them close it, and in 45 days, it'll be off your credit report. So.
Okay. Um, I know for me that I've had this thought for quite some time, and I would actually not really maybe get rid of the credit system, but I'm kind of taking it from this way back to where it's still kind of like a trade per se. There's two thoughts that I had in my head where we still, instead of credit and everything, that we have a system where we not like an IOU, but it is we do something we do something as a service. Let's just say I wanted to get something. You own a store and you're selling bikes, and I want to buy a bike. Instead of me handing you my credit card, blah blah blah, it's instead of that, you're like, how about this? You watch my kid for X amount of hours or something like that. So that's kind of how I would change the system if I could rewrite everything. Another way is actually in today's system, for the people who own like millions and billions of dollars, that there's no way that they are able to spend all of it at once, that they are tied to kind of like you kind of tie your money into. Mind you, I haven't thought about this idea full-heartedly, so if it doesn't make any sense, that is the reason why. But it's kind of like, let's just say Jeff Bezos, right? And you have 50 people tied to his monies to help to like a limit. That way, it's not like they're just bleeding him dry either. But that way, it at least goes down into the people in, let's just say, poverty, so that they can at least afford a little bit more, kind of boosting them up to, and then it kind of has that trickle down effect of like, all right, the money will come back up eventually. Those are like just my two harebrained schemes of how I would rearrange the system if I had the ability to.
Well, let's talk about your ideas of barter and what to do about this money and how we can have it spread out better. Because here's an idea I'm going to be bringing here to the Philippines, okay? We're going to be going to the market where they sell the fruit and vegetables and meat and fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those big open markets, so pick any one you want in your mind, so you see at market. And we're going to walk up to them with finished food product, meaning like, let's say, cake, or like pumpkin bread, or cookies, or jam. And so what we do is we walk up to the vendor and say, here's a gift, okay? And they go, what do you want to exchange? Kind of like the barter that you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. What we want is the food you're going to throw away. At the end of the day, you're going to say, these vegetables, this meat, this fish is not going to make it overnight. I just have to chuck it or feed it to the dog or something like that. Put that in a box for us. All your scraps that you're going to cut all day long, put that in this other bucket. And we'll come back the next day and give you finished product. And we will take those buckets from you and bring you back clean buckets. So the scraps feed our pigs, chickens, goats, all that kind of, so we're happy.
Okay.
And when it's so far bad, we feed the land. So we put that back in the compost. Now the food that is edible, but it's about to rot, we have a full kitchen. So we take these 1,000 pounds of onions and turn it into caramelized onions, right? So how are we going to eat 1,000 pounds of caramelized onions? We take that to restaurants and we give that to them absolutely free. Now they can use that in their pasta and other things too. Then we could say, would you like us to make your sauce for you? Well, sure, what's it going to cost? Nothing. Right, don't worry about it. We've got tomatoes, 1,000 pounds of tomatoes coming in tonight that we need to make into spaghetti sauce. So give us your recipe and we'll make it the way you want it and we'll bring it back to you tomorrow free. What's the story? All we want is I'm going to leave you 2 buckets, put scraps and all the scrapings off of people's plates, put it in this bucket, and we'll feed that to our chickens and our goats and our pigs. And if it's too bad, we just feed it to the land and their compost. Over here in the other bucket, you might want to throw something in that's actually edible that we can use, and we'll bring you back stew. So you throw this meat in, that you know it's not going to last another couple of days, and you're going to be gone for 2 days. Give us that meat, and we'll turn it back into stew and bring it back stewed for the service. So we're not only a commercial kitchen, and we can do that, and we have the insurance, don't worry about that, but that's what we're going to be doing. So that's a free thing to do, and so I want to give more value to the end user, meaning the merchant or the restaurant owner. So now they're getting free food. So now you come to the fruit stand, and now there's jam up there, and there's bread, and they got it for free, and they can sell it for anything. So now that merchant is getting another $10, $20, and that's a big deal. If they got an extra $10 or $20, they'd be in heaven. So they'd be able to help more people get out of poverty. So we're doing this all in the sense of a free revolution. And there's a guy named Myron Golden, and he has a great podcast or YouTube channel. And one of it is it's easier now to become wealthy than ever before because you have to do it in your own generation. So if you think back in 1750, you're thinking that I got to get a job, and that's back to the mentality of the Industrial Revolution. We had the distribution revolution in the 50s, computer revolution in the 70s, the information revolution in 2000, and now we have the partnership revolution. I've taken it one more step to the free revolution. Everybody wants everything for free. So free shipping, free Wi-Fi, sugar-free, everything is free. So I've had this whole changeover of how we can be quite wealthy, because that's what we do. If we help more people change their life for something better, we'll be rewarded. Somehow, some way, God's going to reward us, and we're supposed to be wealthy. We're not supposed to be impoverished. So that's what we can do, is this free revolution.
I like that. I like that idea a lot. I hope that goes really well for you.
I'll let you know how it works out.
But with all that said, I know I said an hour 15. Really trying to get you for an hour, and we got that time. So with that, I want to give you the floor. You can say anything you want, promote anything you want. The floor is yours to.
Oh, sure. It's very simple. Just look at the show notes. Don't believe anything I have to say about the credit card debt and stuff like that. There's show notes and there's links, so check the links out. Send this podcast to your CPA or anybody who's had one class of accounting, and they'll tell you I'm actually 100% correct. That banks do not have an outstanding invoice, so there's no debt, and you didn't sign a promissory note, there is no loan. And fraud undoes all contracts, so you do not have a contractual agreement with the bank. What you have is a free checking account, and you put money into it. So they might say, max out the card. What I'm saying is withdraw your money from your checking account and then send a letter. And I can help you with that, to send it to the bank to be very effective. And they will just do one click and it's off your credit report. So what happened to me, I had $85,000 of credit card debt back when this failed infomercial deal didn't work out. So I went to federal court, and I didn't win the case. I was thrown out, but a month later, all 3 of those credit cards were off my credit report. So I know it works. I help thousands of other people, so I can help you and your audience if you want. So it's in the show notes, Tommy A. Kilpatrick at Facebook, or there's an email there. So please give me a call and a shout out, and we'll chat.
Thank you, Tommy. And before I have you go completely, if you've heard, I like to do a thing. My thing's always gonna be a quote, always gonna be. And my quote actually comes from Podmatch, actually. But the thing is, just because a tool exists does not mean you have to use it.
That's right. Yeah, there are tools, and it's better to know how to do something and never need to use it than to need to know how to do something and you don't know how. So these are very good quotes. Is that I'm a menace to society. I think I'm a menace to society. Of the banksters. So I like the title of the show. I am a menace to society.
Thank you, Tommy. And then my send off to you, really to everyone, is don't forget to ask yourself, ask others, and never stop asking questions. See you.